ಇದು ಫ್ಲವರ್ ಪಿಕಿಂಗ್ ಒಬ್ಬರು, ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಅರೇಂಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಒಬ್ಬರು, ಎಲಿವೇಟಿಂಗ್
vocal hobby.
Vocal hobby, no? Tabla hobby that's also takes place here, and it's mainly
The Ganesha idol, what you are seeing on that, it is printed here only. So all the detailing.
Vidyashala.
Okay.
So this was basically an unused area earlier. What you're seeing right now is Shada Devi.
Pranam to Swamiji and our today's chief guest, Mr. Ravi Narayan. A warm evening to all the elders and my fellow students. I, Ishwar Abhiram, welcome you all with great pleasure to this session. Now let us start with the invocation.
Hari Om Sahana Vavato Sahano Bhunakto Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tachayavravruಣಿಮಯೇ ಗಾತುಯಜ್ಞಾಯ ಗಾತುಯಜ್ಞಪತಯೇ ದೈವೀ ಸ್ವಸ್ತಿರಸ್ತು ನಃ ಸ್ವಸ್ತಿರ್ಮಾನುಷೇಭ್ಯಃ ಊರ್ಧ್ವಂ ಜಿಗಾತು ಭೇಷಜಂ ಶನ್ನೋ ಅಸ್ತು ದ್ವಿಪದೇ ಶಂಚತುಷ್ಪದೇ. ಓಂ ಶಾಂತಿ ಶಾಂತಿ ಶಾಂತಿ. ಹರಿ ಓಂ.
Now we have a small presentation on the student societies in Vidyashala. request Sanmati Kumar to escort Swami Mahipalananji and today speak onto the stage. Now we have an introduction video on Mr. Ravi Narayan.
Life of a startup. So in a startup, it's very easy to say, okay, you start with inception, go to prototype, rollout, growth, expansion, and maturity. Cool, isn't it? But once you start putting together all the other jargon that goes with it, traction, values, early stage, unit economics, mission, vision, culture, valuation, what do you get? It's a lot of things going on. Is that the reason why entrepreneurs lose their way when they're going on this entrepreneurial journey?
I request Sanmati to give a brief introduction on Achieve.
A global leader with local impact, a mentor to entrepreneurs, and a visionary builder of India's startup future, Ravi Narayan. Sri Ravi is a globally acclaimed thought leader in innovation, entrepreneurship, and startup acceleration, with over 2 decades of experience across the United States, India, and some of the world's most vibrant innovation hubs. A proud alumnus of Vidyashala, IIT Madras, and the University of Southern California, Sri Ravi has also founded key entrepreneurial platforms such as Pan IIT, Thai Entrepreneurial Summit, and NASCOM Product Conclave. Professionally, Ravi has held several key leadership roles, including serving as the Global Director for Microsoft for Startups, where he led accelerator programs supporting entrepreneurs globally, and as the CEO of T-Hub, India's largest technology incubator, driving innovation and growth for hundreds of startups. Today, Ravi is a senior advisor at Startup Genome, a global research and advisory organization mapping and nurturing startup ecosystems across more than 150 cities, helping governments and stakeholders unlock entrepreneurial potential. As a transformative leader in India's startup ecosystem, Ravi played a pivotal role in Telangana's evolution from an aspiring leader to a top performer in the Government of India's States Startup Ranking 2021. Working alongside Mr. K.T. Ramarao and Principal Secretary Jayesh Ranjan, he helped unite incubators, accelerators, startups, government officials, grassroots innovators, and mentors in launching groundbreaking initiatives like the T-Fund, Startup Telangana portal, and mentorship platforms, showcasing how collective effort above individual agendas can drive systematic change. Ravi's personal story resonates deeply with many in the Indian diaspora. In 2005, inspired by family values and his mother's example of courage, he chose to return from the US to India, despite uncertainties about career opportunities and his children's education. His elder sons graduated from Princeton and the University of Pennsylvania, and his younger son started his undergrad at NYU, proof that courageous decisions rooted in strong values can bear remarkable fruit. Beyond his professional compliments, Ravi draws inspiration from marathon running, equating the endurance and joy found in every mile to the essence of entrepreneurship, an ethos he shares with startup founders and changemakers across the globe. Inspired by his mother's resilience, Ravi leads with empathy, vision, and a steadfast commitment to nurturing talent and ideas. To Ravi, every entrepreneurial journey is a marathon. Success lies not just as the finish line, but in finding joy and learning at every mile. Few leaders combine global experience, local impact, and personal humility, like Ravi. His journey motivates students and entrepreneurs to dream bigger and deliver value for society. Returning to India with a vision, Ravi Narayan demonstrated that when family, courage, and innovation come together, the impossible becomes possible. What makes his journey truly remarkable is his belief in blending ancient wisdom with modern entrepreneurship, inspiring founders to build not just successful but deeply meaningful ventures. My brothers of Vidyashala, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Mr. Ravi Narayan.
Without further ado, I request Mr. Ravi Narayan to take over.
You may use the cordless mic if you want, sit or talk, whatever, whichever is convenient, you can do that. Yes, thank you.
I think I'll stand there. Good evening. So nice to see all of you. I remember, being in Vidyashala in 75 and 76. 1 year I stayed here, and that was a transformational part of my journey. And I am here because of Vidyashala, and it's been, something that I learned, even though I stayed here only 1 year. So at that time, it was only for, they started 6th standard for the first time. I qualified to join 6th standard. So 1 year I came here, and then I was missing my home very much. So my father and mother said, it's okay, please come home. So just 1 year I stayed in Vidyashala, but it was a transformational thing for me. So you've heard all these wonderful things. I don't know if it made any sense to you, but let me see if I can spell it out for you a little bit. Amongst you, how many of you do you think you want to become entrepreneurs? You want to raise your hands? Oh, very good, very good. Okay, that's quite a few of you. Very nice, very impressive. And if you're not going to become entrepreneurs, are you going to become, some senior executive in a company? Is that what you would like to do? Not many. Okay. Okay. So, when I started, my father was working for the Post and Telegraph, PNT at that time. It is what you see telephones, BSNL, MTNL. It was a government job. My father is doing a government job. And something that I used to see every once in a while was that he was a, very outgoing, very brilliant person, very capable. But the government has its own ways of managing people, as in not giving them the fullest opportunities, not giving them, there is some little bit of politics maybe, some level of, internal things that are going on which you don't have no control over. And I could see that every once in a while he would be disappointed with something where he thought he could do so much more. He felt he had been, kept lower than what he really wanted to do. So that's when I decided that I was going to do something that would be very liberating, nothing that would constrain me. I would do as much as I could. And that is when, being a government employee's son to becoming an entrepreneur happened. And entrepreneurship is definitely not something that is easy, although it is very nice to talk about it. You see all these people, Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, and in India itself we have so many, Mukesh Bansal, we have, all these wonderful startups coming up. You feel that, oh, this is what I should do. But it is not easy. Why? Because there is no structure. Just because you didn't want structure, you come out to no structure, no process, no organization, nothing. You are the one who's making everything up. So the entire responsibility comes on you to make it happen. And it's a lot of hard work. So I can tell you, I did my first startup in 1992. So that was my first startup. It was for a short period of time, 2 years I did, and then I sold the company, and then I came out. Then I worked for a large company called Hughes Network Systems. The second time I started, it was, once you have become an entrepreneur, it is like you want to become an entrepreneur again, because you like that freedom, you like that challenge, you like that, passion of other people around you. So working in a large organization with very set rules becomes very hard for you to take in. So you go back again to starting another company. So this time it was a much more ambitious company that I was doing. It was called Nextone Communications. So the problem I was trying to solve is, to say, can I make voice, what you take very much for granted, WhatsApp or Zoom or Skype, all is called voice over IP. It goes over IP, internet, rather than our phones going on the, just the airwaves or on the copper. It goes on IP, which was a very, very new way of doing things. So we built the technology and we put it into a switch. And while, we had not understood the entirety of entrepreneurship, because my first company did not give me all the exposure I was looking for. It was a regular where I put people on the job, collect money, and so on and so forth. It was an easier version of entrepreneurship. The second one was the harder version of entrepreneurship. So I solved that problem with a couple of my co-founders. So at this time, I was married and I had 2 children, both are twins. And it was the time when, my father-in-law and my mother-in-law would come from the US, as from India, to visit us in the US. And they came to my house and they saw that, while I had responsibility of a family, I was not working anywhere. I was working for IBM, I quit my job. They were very afraid. They said, oh my God, you're quit joining working for IBM, a very, very globally reputed company. What is going on? So I would be working almost till 3, 4 in the morning, and then I will sleep, and I'll wake up at like 6 in the morning, and then take care of the children and a few other things, have my breakfast, and then start working again. And I used to have at least 20-hour days every day. And my father-in-law was very concerned, thinking that, okay, this is too much work for somebody to do. But we were solving something. We did not complain. We were still young, and we said, if we have to solve this problem, we have to do this with everything that we have. And that is what we were doing. We were building a switch, hardware and software, and we were trying to sell this to the global markets everywhere across the world. So my father-in-law, who was a professor, he was actually my professor as well at IIT Madras. He was concerned. He said, this is not looking like what I have seen ever before. So he called up one of his friends and said, Ravi says that he should be working very hard, like he sleeps only 4 hours a night, and he is trying to solve a very big problem which I have not seen anybody solving yet. Is this the way to do it? So that other person said, indeed, I think Ravi is going about it the right way. But why don't you send him to California for this conference that we have called TI Conference? Let me speak to him. So this was 1 week before the conference, I was told. I looked at the website. I said, what will I learn by going to a conference? I'm trying to solve some very specific problems. I'm trying to raise money. I'm trying to finish the product. And I'm trying to get customers. These are the three things. Conference does not give me anything like this. So I kept on pushing it off. And the night before the conference, that person called our home and asked, is Ravi coming to California? And my father-in-law said, I don't think so, because he says what is being taught there is not something that he can relate to. So he said, no, you should give the phone to him. So they gave me the phone, and I got on the phone and I said, sir, this is Ravi Narayan. And he says, yes, I know. Do you really want to become a successful entrepreneur? I said, yes, sir, I want to become a successful entrepreneur. He said, okay, then I'll see you tomorrow morning. Just like that. So I had to take a flight and then arrive there. And, I got to spend time with him. I got to spend time with other people who are in a similar situation like me. And suddenly my mind opened. And I became much more confident, much more capable than ever before. Just because I spoke to other people who are actually doing the same kind of work, not in the same technology, same sector, but were entrepreneurs. Talking to each other is something that we learned from each other a lot, and for people who have actually done this before us. So that is when I realized entrepreneurship requires not just the hard work that I was doing, which I was doing very much of. It also required the passion that I also was showing. So much passion, working 20 hours a day is not easy. And also, always asking whether I'm doing the right things, challenging yourself all the time. So all these things I was already doing. But in addition to that, entrepreneurship is not something that can be taught. It has to be experienced. You have to be with other people who can share their experiences, and through that, you become much better. So this is what I learned when I went and spoke to this person, spent 2-3 days talking to other people, and suddenly I found out if these people can do, raise the money, they can go ahead and, get customers, I can do the same thing. Suddenly I was a different person, just because I had spoken to these people and began to understand how to do this thing. So this transformed my whole idea of entrepreneurship. It was to be networked, be with several people talking about various things and learning from each other. So it's almost like, I don't know if you know this, but it took a very, very long time for somebody to do 100 meters sprint in less than 10 seconds. But the day that 10 seconds was broken, within a few months, several people also ran 100 meters in less than 10 seconds. Why? Because it was a mental barrier. Something that people had thought in their mind was not possible. When they saw it was possible, they also made it possible for themselves. That is what opens up when you start discussing with various people. So now I have gone from being an entrepreneur to being a mentor to being an investor to now I'm an ecosystem builder. I build the right conducive environment for entrepreneurs everywhere across the world. That's what I do these days. So a couple of things that I would like you to take away. Remember, Swami Vivekananda had said, arise, awake, stop not till the goal is reached, right? That is also a motto for the entrepreneur. Because every single person here is highly capable. Each one of you is much more smart than me, than I have ever been. It's already there in you. It's a matter of actually understanding what your capabilities are, what your strengths are, and really tapping into it. So, for me, it is an introspection, and you saw my TED talk where I was talking about how you have to go through the different stages of entrepreneurship, which also reflects a lot upon your own life journey as you will continue to grow. So, 3 things that I would like you to take away. So, one is, understand if you have the attitude to have entrepreneurial, taking on the entrepreneurial journey. Do you have the aptitude or the attitude? If you don't, it's okay. But if you do, know that this is only the beginning of the journey. So that is the A. And then the next one is skills, S. So you need to have skills to become a successful entrepreneur. Not everything has to be learned the very first time. There is so much on YouTube. If you go to Y Combinator, you go to some other, we have Your Story in India, we have Inc. 42, so many of them talk about entrepreneurship. You can learn a lot. There are some skill sets, in the entrepreneurial journey. There is thing about how do you build the right product, how do you find the right market, how do you raise the right money. All these things are skills. And it's not something that you need to figure out for the first time. You may have to figure it out for yourself the first time, but it has been done by us all. And then finally, there is knowledge. So why was I able to draw from this gentleman that I went and met in California? Because he had the knowledge. It's like the wisdom. He had the understanding of everything that was going on. And therefore, while he may not be an expert in exactly what I am doing, he can give you guidance. Like they talk about gurus, right? The guru, they will just give you the guidance in which ways to go. So that is the knowledge. So attitude, skills, and then knowledge. So knowledge you can get from people who have been there, done that much prior to you. Skills you can learn from, either YouTube or taking some classes in that, because it's already there. But most important starting point for you is your attitude. Do you want to really do this? Even if you don't want to do this, what's happening today in the job market, if you want to just not become an entrepreneur but you want to take up a job, it is very important for you still to do the ASK. As in, go off and learn something. So let's say some of you want to become engineers, okay, learn engineering. You want to become CAs, okay, go learn CA. You want to become a doctor, medical doctor, fine. But that's only the beginning of your journey. And don't become very hard on yourself whether you're making the right choice or not the right choice, because you're so young. You're only 17 years, 18 years. You don't know everything that you want to do in life. But start something, because it gives you the basic attitude to start to problem solve. Then you develop the skills. When you go to slightly higher, you take up a job after your bachelor's degree. That gives you the skills. When you work, you actually apply all the things you learned in the job and you learn the skills. And then finally, you begin to have the knowledge. After having worked enough number of times, you begin to see a pattern. you begin to have a much larger idea, and that's what you need to build. What you will be getting into the word out there is not going to be a simple word. Either you go the entrepreneurial route or you become an employee at a certain company. Either way, you have to be very good at what you're doing, because the competition is much higher, and you need to be able to problem solve no matter what. Whichever way you go, you have to problem solve. So you're a problem solver to begin with. So if you learn how to solve problems, you'll become a good entrepreneur or you'll become a good employee. Either way, you're fine. You'll have a fantastic career this way, no problem. You can also have a great entrepreneurial journey. Both requires you to be great problem solvers, because the learning of everything that you need is, a lot of it is already there. You just need to assimilate it and you need to bring it to yourself. That is the way you're going to make this work. So I feel, first of all, you need to take control of your own destiny. You have to take control of your own career. You have to take control of your own learning, so that you feel that once you learn the art of learning, you will be ready for the new world. The new workforce will also be entrepreneurial to a large extent, because they will be solving problems by just learning on the job rather than having learned everything in their school or college. You'll have to keep learning when you're working as well. So I think you have a very, very exciting time ahead of you. I'm very happy to have reconnected with the Vidyashala. I am here. I would like to talk to people who want to be entrepreneurs a little bit more when I am here. And I'll spend time with you to understand what you are looking to do and see how is it that I can be of any help to you. So good luck with everything. Now I'll want to interact with you as much as I can. So that's the reason I will just stop here. Otherwise, I have a lot of other things to talk about. So let me sit down and then we will answer some questions.
Just the context. Sir was mentioning about this TIE. It's called the Indus Entrepreneurship Forum. It's a very established forum. It has also got a Mysore chapter. So probably in your entrepreneurial journey, we have an entrepreneurship department also here. So in your journey, of course, Sir has offered to be a part of our mentorship group, where some ideation processes, ideathon, that's what he mentioned, just like hackathon. So as and when the time progresses, we'll be happy to update you on the developments of how young students can be, their minds and ideas can be harnessed towards this particular process. So, Sir wants to interact with you, so I request all of you to ask pertinent questions, and let senior students start off with, the PUC students who are going to face the real world shortly. So I would request the PUC students to begin with the questions, please. The volunteers, please take the microphone to them. Another Darsh Pagare, please, you also can help him with another microphone, please. Yeah, there's another one there. Yes, there. There's just that. There. Yeah, please introduce yourself, your class. Just be fast. We are losing time. Yes, please stand up. The boys who want to ask, please stand up. Yes, please introduce and ask, please. Thank you. Yes.
Good evening, sir. I am Rumanva of First PUC. Sir, I have two questions, sir. First one is investment necessary for any startup, like the amount of investment you put in, will that be necessary? And the second one is, when will I know if my investment or startup or my business has reached its maximum point? Yes, sir.
Very good question. So first of all, in terms of investment, not all businesses require investment. A lot of companies are able to start with very minimum investment, if anything, but can also start bringing in what we call revenue, and therefore revenue will take care of bringing the money into the company, and therefore you can continue to grow just with the revenue. Now, there could be a reason why you want investment. Investment usually is brought in because you feel that the technology that you want to build requires to be built very, very fast. And you will not make money or bring in revenue for some time. So for bridging that gap between the time that you want to be in the market to start building it to be in the market, you need to build it in anticipation of going into the market, you raise investments. Now, having raised investments, haven't gotten into the market, sometimes people say, oh, I am not growing enough with the amount of revenues I'm making. I want to make 10 times the revenues. So then you bring in some more investment to further accelerate your growth. So investments are made to bridge the gap between your potential and where you are today, and therefore you bring in investments from the outside. But I would say less than 10% of the companies actually require investments to come from the outside. Most startups do not require investments, but there is so much discussion in the newspaper. Everybody says, oh my God, look at this. So much money has been raised by this company and all that. So don't worry about that. Depending on the kind of company that you're doing, you may or may not need investments. The second question, I will answer it in the sense that, if you are doing something that is so very well, you will always find that your need to keep up with the growth is always, much more. Say, for example, you're making, 1 crore today, but there is already 10 crores worth of orders or customers waiting to become part of your journey. You want to grow faster, then you know that there is so much pent-up demand that you have not reached your maximum, right? And you continue to look at later and later. So at some point in time, you will find that your pent-up demand is not that much. And then you begin to question whether you've reached your growth, you've plateaued, and therefore you need to look at maybe starting a new product or going to a different market, as in different country maybe. That's when you begin to think, how do I expand my revenues? So there is no hard and fast rule about whether you reach the maximum or not. But a lot of people are able to gauge this based on the kind of pent-up demand that they begin to see. The other thing that I want to also say is, some people will ask, when do you know that you have to start this company? So sometimes what happens is, a lot of this entrepreneurship is all about your heart. If you're doing something and you're doing something very, very interesting, your heart will say, just doing this on a part-time basis is not good. You have to do this on a full-time basis. That's when you leave what you're doing and then become a full-time entrepreneur. So that is when you begin to start the journey in terms of the startup itself. And then you see, when is it that you reached your fullest potential? Maybe not for a very, very long time. Several years you will not reach. And that's a good thing. But then you may also reach very quickly, which is also fine.
Namaste sir, I am Aditya from 2nd PUC. Sir, I wanted to ask your opinion on doing a bachelor's degree in foreign universities on about entrepreneurship. Is it better to do a bachelor's degree in foreign university and then do your startup in India, or pursue a startup in other universities when you see today's situation of IITians, the employment rate has also decreased. So what is your opinion on that, sir?
Yeah, so first of all, I request all of you to think about why are you doing your bachelor's degree. Your bachelor's degree is to give you the skills that you need. So you don't necessarily need there is nothing like entrepreneurial skills. I usually like people to either take a degree in your normal things like mechanical engineering, or medical, profession, medical doctor, whatever. Learn something, something that you can really enjoy having as your tool set with you. Develop the skills. Entrepreneurship is going to be a wrapper around that. So usually I suggest if you want to do anything as a degree to study entrepreneurship, it is better to do it at the master's level, not at the bachelor's level. Even better is to go do a company, do a startup. That gives you a much better entrepreneurial learning than any university can give you. In fact, my co-founder in my second startup had got admission to Stanford MBA, and I asked him to come join me. He said, no, Ravi, I've got admission to Stanford. I want to go do my MBA. I said, his name was Sridhar. I said, Sridhar, come join me. You will learn more about entrepreneurship than you ever wanted to know by doing the startup with me. So, and he was very thankful for that advice because he did learn a lot more.
I just, before I interrupt, I just have one question which could kind of, it's a question when in most of the students' minds. A lot of students are pursuing or want to pursue their undergraduate course in IITs, especially IIT being the premier educational setup which the students can go. But in spite of many IITs being opened across the country, there are a few key IITs which the students inevitably want to get into it. So what happens when they do not get into it? How should their attitude be? And what does it matter to get into institutes like IIT or pursuing a degree elsewhere? So because we talk about the minds and the change which happens to the students, do they get a kind of what do you say, downgraded in their minds if they don't get into IITs? So how do we actually handle that issue? Because other than that, there are a lot of institutions which are mushrooming up everywhere. A lot of private engineering colleges. Down the street is an engineering college. And we talk about this employment is not employable, that particular tagline comes. So how do students, these students, most of them would probably go into engineering field. So how do they, what is the perspective they should have towards this? I just want to ask.
Yeah. Swamiji's very good question. See, of course, getting into IIT is always a good thing because it gives you immediate, credibility. If you wanted to go say, hey, I came from IIT. But that's not necessary for a very successful career for any of you. It is just a stepping stone. It could be IIT, it could be NIT, it could be RV College, it could be anything. All of them are perfectly fine. It is dependent on you as to what you make of it. Because they will teach their courses, they will, you will get your marks and all that, and you'll get your degree. And yet you may, if you are not really drawing as much as you want from all these places, you will, only come out with as much as you have taken from these institutions. So I would say, a lot of people have done extremely well in their career without having gone to IITs. But if you do get into an IIT, be happy that you are there and make sure that you get as much as you can from studying there. So I have also seen, especially when you want to go to the US and all that, or UK or Australia. Now, if you want to pursue further studies, an IIT name is now being recognized a lot more. That's the only difference. Otherwise, I wouldn't worry too much if you don't get into IIT. Do make an attempt, give your heart and soul to it, see what happens, and what happens is the best for you. Know that for sure.
Namaste sir, I am Srijan Shaiva from 2nd PUC. Sir, as an entrepreneur, how to choose a right problem to be solved which will sustain longer and help the society?
Yeah. See, I think, as entrepreneurs, you're always fired up by the problem that you're solving. If it is a problem that is something that nobody has done before, it's very exciting. But it's also very risky because you may be stupid that you're trying to solve a problem that nobody thought was interesting enough to solve. So it may also be a little stupid. That you need to just think about that. Also, sometimes a problem could be very large. So one entrepreneur is not a young entrepreneur, but much older to me as well. So I asked him, what problem are you solving? So he says, I am going to solve a problem where I am able to get people from one part of Bangalore to another part of Bangalore in 20 minutes. I am going to solve the traffic problem of Bangalore. That was the problem he was solving. I said, is that really possible? He said, yes, that's why I am trying to do that. So for him, that was the important thing. He's probably 70 years old. He has done multiple companies, he has helped multiple people, done all these things. Now he wants something even large, something that really excites him. And that's what he's doing. And I believe he will solve that problem. And you will see a lot of this in the next 2-3 years. So this is the kind of problems people take up because they feel it is something that needs to be done. It is going to change the society, it's going to change the world, and that's what they want to do, and that's what some people do. Now other people do not because of changing the world, they want to change maybe technology. Now we have so much of AI going on, right? Artificial intelligence, data science, all that stuff. So people want to solve some of the best problems using AI and data sciences, something that we have not used before, right? So, for example, in the life sciences spaces, discovering medicines, discovering drugs, usually takes anywhere from 7 to 10 years. Now, because of all the computer simulations that they can do drug discovery within a year, right? So imagine from 7 years to 1 year is a huge leap, and that's an interesting way to solve problems because humankind requires a lot of medicines, and if you are able to do this faster, why not? So technologically they are applying to make this thing happen. So that is another way. Now, I am part of a board of a company called Assistive Technology Foundation. So here, people are solving problems for the disabled people. People who can't see, people who can't hear, people who can't walk, or perhaps have a mental, a disability of some kind. They're solving problems for them using technology. So there are a variety of areas in which problems can be sought out and solved, be it for societal, alleviation, or for just the fact that this technology has never been employed in this fashion to doing anything, of that sort. So that's how, people pick up the challenges to work on.
Hello sir, my name is Adish from class 10. So my question to you is, how can aspiring entrepreneurs find and build a relationship with the right mentors?
This is like a Guru Shishya Parampara. Something or the other happens and the Guru will come to you or the Shishya will go to the Guru. I think a lot of that is just a magic. But nevertheless, I would say as an entrepreneur, you should have the ability to listen to people. So the best of the entrepreneurs will always tell you that what they started doing to what really made them successful, there was a big difference. So every step of the way they have learned and changed. They call this course correction. You keep on making changes to find the right, model that will make you ultimately successful. The only way you will make those changes is because you are listening to advice from everybody. That is what is a true trait of a successful entrepreneur, person who listens. So you may be listening to your own employees, you may be listening to your customers, or you may be listening to people who have been there, done that, who are giving you, advice. The minute you say, no, I know everything, I don't want any advice, you're bound to fail. So, being very open to advice, mentoring is a true sign of a good entrepreneur.
So, can we take one more question from a junior? Yeah, we have got Anai Rao. Yeah, please.
Sir, you have spent a lot of time at Microsoft, right? So, what is the most valuable lesson you learned at Microsoft?
At Microsoft? See, I should tell you my Microsoft story a little bit to make you appreciate. So, Microsoft started with a idea that we'll build operating systems and all that. That's how it started. Bill Gates was the person there. And then he was always an inventor. He kept on innovating, inventing and all that. But at some point, he kind of took the back seat and Steve Ballmer came in as the CEO. Steve Ballmer was a master salesperson. He just knew how to sell. He didn't innovate. He didn't invent. But he sold like a master salesman. And that's what made Microsoft one of the most valuable companies in the world. But then, because there was no innovation coming from Microsoft, it started going down. Because at some point in time, Microsoft thought, they had the best engineers in the world. They had the largest amount of money on their balance sheets. What do they care? But I came at a juncture in the Microsoft's life where there was so much innovation happening outside of Microsoft. Startups were doing some very, very interesting things that Microsoft was not taking advantage of. They were not even talking to them. They were saying, there are 10 people, 15 people startups. What will they do? I have 15,000 people, solving the same problem. And that is the kind of attitude, Microsoft had adopted because it had become more of a sales engine and less of an innovation engine. And that's the time I came in and I built Microsoft Ventures, Microsoft for Startups in Microsoft. That's when I built the bridge between startups who are small, nimble, scrappy, highly open to risk, to Microsoft that was big, very hard to change, and very, very averse to risk. They don't want to take any chances because they had to make this company better. So I had this hardest problem where I was fighting battles on two fronts. I was fighting I was fighting startups. I was fighting to get startups to work with Microsoft because startups had stopped using Windows to build their software anymore. They were building it on Linux and AWS and all that. And I was fighting inside Microsoft and saying, please talk to startups. They have some fantastic ideas. You don't need to come up with all the ideas. So I was fighting on both sides to say, please talk to each other, please talk to each other. Thankfully, by the time I came out, they started talking to each other. And when I was at Microsoft, when I joined Microsoft, the share price was $50 per share. Today it is north of $500 a share, about 10 times that, because they started listening to the outside.
Now, I call Sanmati for giving a reflection on today's session.
Sri Ravi told his year 75 to 76, a greatly transformative journey in Vidyashala, and he has a deep gratitude for it. He wants to interact with his students, and so was his session. He told that entrepreneurship is not so easy. It requires challenging approach, problem-solving approach, and determination. And for this determination, you also need family support. And also, we need openness in the system, ecosystem, and also the entrepreneurial community of the vast world. Entrepreneurship does not just require hard work. It also requires skills, attitude, the right attitude, and the potential, and also the knowledge. So these, if not in the individual, it should be grown. In the sense, skills can be grown as well as knowledge, and also the right attitude should be developed. In entrepreneurship, not just an idea is respected. For an idea, we need a problem-solving method, which is intellectual and also social-oriented. So when it comes to our own personal journey, we need to control our career and destiny, as it is as important in our life. And also we need to keep learning, and also we need to learn the art of learning, says Sri Ravi. He also says that not all companies require investments, as he mentions the importance of revenue generation. It is also a great development in the whole world as ecosystems grow in a great speed with the growing modern technology. So at the end, I would like to thank Manual Department, Audiovisual Department, Media Lab, Mahipalananda Swamiji, and also, last but not least, our Computer Science Department. I request Shri Mahipalananda Swamiji to give a memento to our chief guest. I would like to end this session with Shanti Matra, and I request Suraj and Agastya to do the Shanti Mantra.
Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ तत्सत् श्रीरामकृष्णार्पणमस्तु।